Feeling blocked and stuck in your creative work can be so frustrating. It can keep us frozen or going in circles for a long time if we don't deal with whatever is holding us back. When we finally get unstuck and are moving forward again, it's the best feeling, and we can all do it. Hi there everyone, I'm Elin Love, writer and creative coach, and in my last video we talked about why we get stuck in our creative work, and in this video I want to talk about how we can get unstuck and move forward again. And this is a topic I'm very passionate about. It's something I've figured out myself over the last couple of years, and it's also something I very often help my wonderful clients with. So let's dig right in. I believe there are three things that we need to be able to move forward in our creative work. If one of these things are lacking, that we're struggling with one of these areas, I think we are gonna struggle to move forward as well. Maybe not to get completely blocked and stuck, but we are gonna struggle to some degree. So these are the three areas that I think we need to work on if we are feeling a little bit stuck. The first thing is your direction. So this is your vision and what your creative work is really about, so you know where you're going. The second one is your route, your strategy, plan and daily habits, so you know how to get where you're going. And the third one is your courage, your good mindset, so you dare to go ahead with your goals and plans. So let's talk a little bit about each of these three areas. Let's start with finding your direction, knowing what you want in your creative work. So what might it look like if this is the problem then? It could look like you know you want to create something, but you don't know exactly what that is, or you have an idea of what you want to create, but when you go down to the specifics and actually starting to do things, you are faced with all these decisions, small choices, and this is where you start to struggle. This is where it starts to feel vague and you don't know exactly which direction to go in. So you know on a broad level, but the details are still very fuzzy. Or maybe you are creating, but there's a disconnect. It doesn't feel exactly right, it doesn't feel like you, it's not joyful. So you are creating, but it's not really the right direction. So this is the areas that you might struggle in if you are not clear on your direction. So what might help you then if you are not really clear about your direction yet? So I think the best way to do this is to have a balance between pondering and thinking and introspecting on one side and doing and experimenting on the other side. So these two can inform each other in a really good way if we manage this. And on the pondering side, you ask your idea or your project or whatever it is questions. So you are asking it, why is this important to me? Why do I want to do it? Where is the joy coming from? What is it all about? What is purpose? All of these deep questions, but it can sometimes be hard to answer them. And it can be hard to make choices between different things when we're just doing it in a vacuum. So here's where the experimenting comes in. You start trying things, trying on different versions of it and see what really fits, what makes you feel good, where your joy is pointing towards, and these two start to inform each other. So you ask the questions and take note of where you're struggling to answer them, because that's usually where you have to dig deeper, and then you use the experimenting to start trying to answer the questions and dig deep into it, and it goes like this. And sometimes it can also be helpful not to look directly at the creative work you're doing, but look at it from a broader perspective of your lifestyle, the life you want to live, and who you want to be and the creative work you want to do on a broader scale. So let's say, for example, that you are a photographer. What kind of photography do you want to do? Do you want to be the kind of person who are running around weddings, really social, do all of that, capture people's days and work with clients in that way? Or are you much more the kind of photographer who wants to be alone, quietly out in the forest, capturing nature? So those kind of questions can be really helpful to look at, okay, who am I? What do I really enjoy doing? If you want to be known for something, what would you want to be known for? And what is the kind of lifestyle I want to build? That can be really helpful in clarifying your direction as well, not just for this specific project you may be doing, but on a broader life scale, basically. And what's important to remember here is that there are no right answers. There's no right direction. This is your direction, your very personal direction, and it should come from you and your insights, not from someone else telling you this is the right direction. So I want to share a story from my own journey of when I struggled with my direction. And this was when I was thinking about starting a creative business. I wanted to do some kind of creative coaching, but I didn't know exactly how. I didn't know if I wanted to do a lot of one-to-one coaching or if I wanted to create courses and what I would enjoy the most and be best at. And the problem was that I was trying to think myself to an answer when in reality I probably just needed to try it. And it was when I actually went ahead and tried and experimented and saw that I really enjoyed one-to-one coaching. That was when I was able to move forward again. And I also tried to make the right choice from the beginning, when in fact beginnings are usually not what it will look like in the end or when something's really established. The beginning is for figuring things out and trying things, and we usually can't make a decision in the beginning that will last us all the way to the end. So trying to put that much pressure on it doesn't really help, and it didn't help me to start my business. So the second part to moving forward is to create your route. So when you have a direction, you also need a route to know how to get from where you are now to where you want to go. So what might it look like then if this is the problem, if this is what's keeping you from moving forward in your creative work? Well, it might look like you know what you want, you have a quite clear idea, but you don't know how to get there. It might feel impossible. You might not know where to start, and it might feel very overwhelming. Or maybe you are moving, you're doing a lot of things, you're creating, you're always busy, but they don't seem to add up to something. They are not getting you any closer to your direction, where you want to go. What might help you move forward then and create your route? I believe there are 3 levels to this. So the top one is your strategy, the second one is your plan, and the third one is your daily habits. And I think it's good to start with thinking about what is the part of your journey you're in right now. So your journey might be really long, and you're likely in one kind of stage where some certain things are very important. For example, if you're in the beginning, it might be to figure things out. If you are in the middle, it might be to accelerate things or try to reach a specific goal in your journey. Think about what is the part of the journey you're in right now and what is important for that part specifically. So when we know this, it's easier to start thinking about what kind of strategy we need for this part of our journey. And when it comes to strategy, I would advise you to look at what creatives are saying that have come before you, what they say is important, and rely on those kind of resources to build your strategy. Then when it comes to planning, I would advise also to think about what part of your journey you're in, and then create focus areas for a certain time period, for a month or a season or 6 months, and create your plan out of that focus area. And then you know what to prioritize and what you are not going to prioritize as much, and make it a little bit more cohesive. When it comes to the level of habits, think about how you create best, what helps you get going and get into the flow of creating, and shape a habit out of that. So you may have a direction, you may have a route to get there, but you may also need to hone your courage. So this is the part where mindsets come into play, and the things that help you be brave essentially in your creative work. And what might it look like if this is the problem then that is keeping you from moving forward? You know what you want and you know what your next steps are, but there you are, frozen, struggling to take the next step forward. You might feel anxious and wonder if you really can do this that you want to do. You may struggle with perfectionism and showing flaws in your creative work. You may be really scared of being bad at something and eventually failing. So what might help you hone that courage and move forward then in your creative work? I don't believe that courage is a personality trait, it's not something you're born with, it's something that you can practice and it's something that you do rather than something that you have. And the goal here isn't to be fearless, it's to have that fear, accept it and move forward in spite of it. To do that, it can be helpful to shift your focus from a very good outcome to the joy of the process. So this loosens us up a bit and releases that perfectionism when we are really striving for an excellent, perfect result, and instead shifting our focus to having fun with the process and just trying and doing and practicing essentially. Try to accept that things won't be perfect from the beginning, and that's completely okay, it's just how it's supposed to be. Beginnings aren't for perfect results, the beginning is for trying and exploring and experimenting. Also, remind yourself that fear is probably telling you a story, and that story is something that is trying to keep you safe, keep you from growing and from changing, because all of that is unknown, which means it's unsafe, which means that fear pops up and tries to stop you. And you can tell an opposing story to your fear, because fear isn't telling the truth, it's just telling a story that is trying to keep you from moving forward. So create a different story that you can listen to that is opposing the story that fear tells. Fear is not something that we can run away from, at least not if we want to move forward in our creative journeys. But if we just allow it to be there and not make the decisions, but just be along for the ride, it will lose a lot of its power over us. Because fear really can't do that much. It can make us feel bad, but not that much more happens actually. See fear as a sign that you're on the path to do things that will make you grow. So I want to tell a story from my own journey of honing my courage. And this is actually what made me start blogging in the first place, because I was trying to write my first novel. I had had a dream of writing novels basically since I was a kid. And I was trying to do that, but I was really struggling because what I realized was that I was trying to write a great novel because that's what I thought I had to do if I was ever to get published or be a writer, so to speak. And that was keeping me from moving forward. It was keeping me from actually writing the novel because I was so locked up in it having to be perfect. And what I did is that in 2016, I decided that would be my fear year. So it was a year for me to face my creative fears. So what I did was that I spent the year trying to, instead of running away from fear, face it and go towards it and see fear as a signpost essentially that this is what I have to dig deeper into. So I did a lot of things that I was scared to do. For example, blog, just that in itself felt scary because I would be publishing my own writing for everyone to see, and that felt very vulnerable. So yeah, that year of facing my creative fears really helped hone my courage and make it a habit to not just run in the other direction when things feel scary, but actually go towards it and see what's on the other side. And if I hadn't done that, we wouldn't be sitting here today. So I'm very happy that I did that. And just facing fears and honing your courage can change a lot in both your life and your creative journey. So these are the 3 key areas that I believe are the areas that we need to dig deeper into if we are struggling to move forward in our creative work. And I really do think that we all can get unstuck and move forward again. We just have to understand what's holding us back and what is keeping us from taking that next step. And this is what I'm so passionate about. It's what I do as a creative coach. It's what I write about on my blog and what I want to do here on YouTube as well. So in my coming videos, we are going to dig deeper into each of these 3 areas and how they can help us move forward in our creative lives. I would love to hear in the comments if you think that some of these areas are more of a struggle for you, and if you have any questions or something you want me to dig deeper into in my videos, then I will take that into consideration when I plan them. So yeah, that is all for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please hit that little like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!